Excellencies, distinguished ambassadors, esteemed colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. It's both a privilege and an honor to address you today on behalf of the government of Finland at this solemn and celebratory occasion, the informal handover of the Presidency of the Council of the European Union from the Republic of Poland to the Kingdom of Denmark. Allow me first to extend, through you, Mr. Ambassador, our heartfelt congratulations and sincere appreciation to the Polish Presidency. Under the guiding theme, Security Europe, Poland has demonstrated exemplary leadership in a time of profound geopolitical and social challenges. Your presidency has been marked by clarity of purpose, strategic foresight, and a deep commitment to the European project. We commend your efforts in advancing the Union's resilience across multiple dimensions, from energy and food security to digital sovereignty and defense cooperation. Your presidency has also honored the 20th anniversary of Poland's EU membership with dignity and vision, reminding us all of the transformative power of European unity. As we now turn to Denmark, we do so with great confidence and warm anticipation. Denmark assumes the presidency with a forward-looking agenda focused on a secure, competitive and green Europe. These priorities resonate deeply with Finland and with the aspirations of our citizens. We welcome Denmark's emphasis on strategic autonomy in a broader perspective, on climate leadership and on digital innovation. We are particularly encouraged by your commitment to strengthening the Union's global role while ensuring that no region or citizen is left behind. Your presidency promises to be one of action, inclusion and ambition. Dear friends, in accordance with diplomatic tradition, I wish to reaffirm Finland's full support and readiness to cooperate constructively with the incoming presidency. We look forward to close cooperation and coordination at all levels, political, technical and diplomatic, in the spirit of mutual respect and shared responsibility. Let this ceremony serve as a reminder of what makes the European Union unique: our ability to lead together, to listen to one another, and to work together for a better common future. To our Polish friends, please accept our deepest thanks and congratulations. And to our Danish friends, we extend our best wishes for a successful and impactful presidency. And to all present, let us continue to build a Europe that is united in its diversity, strong in its values, and bold in its vision. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Strand. That was very inspiring. And now I would like to give the floor to the fifth and final speaker, please, Ms. Tytti Tuppurainen, her MP, but also the previous Minister for European Affairs and Ownership Steering, who, if I'm not mistaken, actually led Finland through the EU presidency back in 2019. Please.
Thank you. Dear friends, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it feels good to be here. My husband and I are very grateful for the invitation. I must admit I like presidencies. And as introduced, I'm familiar with presidencies. Exactly 6 months of Finnish EU presidency. It was my office, and I loved every moment, every minute. It was very hectic, very challenging, but also full of responsibilities that we were glad to fulfill. But after that, you must be aware of that. They say that a kind of presidency blues follows. They warned me about it. And I had the first feelings of this very particular melancholy. But then the world didn't leave me in this melancholy. The corona pandemic began, and later on the war and so on. And I believe you don't have the luxury of feeling melancholy either, because it is indeed a changing world. And it requires us to remain vigilant and keep everything intact. But having this ceremony of handing over the EU presidency, we have the outgoing presidency of Poland, which we wholeheartedly congratulate, and we have the incoming presidency of Denmark that we wish the best luck towards. And there's a lot of continuity, namely security. That's the number one factor that binds these presidencies together. And for us Finns, it is also about the Baltic Sea. These two are Baltic Sea presidencies, and Baltic Sea security, it matters. I'm immensely happy to see our NB8 cooperation growing ever stronger, even though we don't want to having any blocks in the European Union, but the NB8 plays a crucial role, and Poland is a regular participant in NB8, and I even took notice that Chancellor Merz, German Chancellor, participated the previous NB8 meeting during the last UCO. So Baltic Sea is of relevance, and security matters a lot. To my remarks, if I may shortly 3 points, and if somebody wonders why there are these 3 points, it's of course because we live in the Republic of President Alexander Stubb, and it's always these 3 points, so I have to have them. And I will start, my number 1 point is of course security. We need to have stronger Europe and a robust European pillar of NATO. That's what we need to have in the face of Russian aggression. It is unavoidable. We have to impose further and stronger sanctions on Russia. We have to have defense industry, single market on those products. We have to do a lot of things, and I think the NATO summit that was just held last week was a good sign in that respect. We all committed to spend 5% of our GDP on defense. Even Spain comes along, yes, when it comes to capability targets, we are happy for that. And I think it's necessary. But my message would be that we have to do this in a way that we keep our societies cohesive. And I've been talking about a sort of need to have a new social contract for Europe. A social contract that puts these things in the same basket, defense and the well-being of people. Otherwise, our democratic governments risks failing the mandate of the people. So we need to maintain the social Europe and at the same time create and strengthen the defense union and invest in our defense capabilities and continue our ironclad support for Ukraine. That's my number 1 remark. My second remark is enlargement. I was happy to hear about the results of the Polish presidency, and enlargement indeed matters. I mean, think about it. The EU does not have to create any buffer zones for itself, spheres of interest. But instead, there are nations and peoples who are willing to join us, who want to be part of our union of values of democracy, rule of law, and human rights. I think that is incredible. So that's in the best interest of the European Union to move forward in the enlargement, especially with Ukraine. Ukraine wants to be part of the European Union, and think, just last weekend, a week ago, Vladimir Putin, he said that he wants to invade the whole of Ukraine. Not just the eastern parts and Crimea, but whole of Ukraine. And the scenario of Russia having Ukraine and its outstanding military resources, it scares the hell out of me. So we'd better have Ukraine on our side, and if the door to NATO is more or less closed now because of our transatlantic hesitance, then we need to open the door to our European Union. And that includes the Republic of Moldova as well. And we also have to be very vigilant when it comes to Western Balkans. There are our friends, our neighboring countries, who also wish to be part of the European Union. And we cannot allow the Western Balkans to become a theater of a superpower game and battle, where actually these other superpowers are creating spheres of interest. So let us move on with enlargement, and in particular also when it comes to Kosovo. And I mentioned Kosovo because I'm a friend of Kosovo, but also because it could be a sign to show Russia that war doesn't pay, imperialism doesn't pay. You know, Putin has some kind of an obsession with Kosovo. Kosovars want to be part of the Euro-Atlantic structures. They want to be part of the European Union. So giving them way to further move on their path towards these structures could discourage Putin and would show that democracy prevails and countries that are building their societies on our values, they prevail. So I hope we can work towards that and convince the 5 remaining non-recognizers that it's time to recognize Kosovo and help also other countries in the Western Balkans. And lastly, my third point. That would be in migration. And I do realize that this is a divisive question. It doesn't necessarily have to be. Because migration at the end is a beautiful thing. It's a good thing. Our aging societies, our aging continent needs migration. And there's a powerful competition on skilled labor force. So when we are tackling irregular migration and illegal migration and migration in general, we have to be very and careful in order not to make our continent a closed continent, that it's not friendly towards migrants. And there has to be a balance in our approach to migration. And we also have to be very tough when it comes to migration that is being instrumentalized. That's another issue. For asylum seekers, we have to show the humane face of Europe, the humane face of our fundamental values. But in the face of Russia's aggression, instrumentalizing asylum seekers and migrants to its need to shake our societies and cause insecurity, we have to be very, very tough. It was also a Social Democratic Party that adopted the legislation on border security in order to tackle this appalling phenomenon of instrumentalized migration. So we do have common interest in the area of migration, but let us remember that when it comes to refugees, we have to remember that the values that Ukrainians are fighting for, they are the values of freedom and human rights, and they are actually universal values in the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights. So this is the EU that we want to build. Out of the number of issues, I chose these 3 to thank you, the outgoing presidency, and congratulate the incoming presidency. The EU is the best thing that we have. If we didn't have the EU, we should invent it immediately. So thank you so much for your attention. And if anyone has a sort of vacation and free time during this summer, there's also 3 points in our family together with my husband, and it's 1, 2, 3, sauna. So thank you. Wish you all the best. By the way, Finland belongs to the Kingdom of Denmark.